So today, I'm continuing with this series called Hold Nothing Back, Holding Nothing Back. What does that mean, hold nothing back? So I want to remind us, because it's been a while, holding nothing back means being able to become and to be all you've come here to be. To take away the obstacles, to live consciously, and to leave nothing unturned, leave no stone unturned, leave nothing on the table, as it were. To hold nothing back is to be the incredible you that you are. See, what my belief is, and what we believe at Spiritual Soul Center, is we are each an expression of the divine. We are each an expression of God. Like, how many times do you look at yourself in the mirror and remind yourself of that? No matter what the situation is in your life, no matter how good or bad you judge things to be, you are an expression, and a unique expression, of the living God, of the divine, whatever name you call that. That's what it is. And to hold nothing back is to allow that divine to express in you to its fullest. It's the most exciting thing I can think of. One of the, where I got this inspiration to talk about, have this series called Hold Nothing Back, is from a book by Mark Nepo called The Exquisite Risk. Here's what he said holding nothing back is about. He says, this holding nothing back centers on the perpetual risk to break and reframe our ways of seeing and being in the world. That's what it's about, by breaking and reframing the way we see the world, the way we are in the world. Holding nothing back perceptually means expanding how we see, And he says, it involves the perpetual risk to know God in each moment by putting down all our agendas, our stories, and our worn-out beliefs. That's what holding nothing back is about. And we take a risk when we live this way, don't you know? We take a big risk when we live this way, because people around us think we're kind of crazy. Because they see what's going on out here, and then we decide to go down a different pathway. We decide to believe something different, and they're like, what is wrong with that? That's the risk. And it's an exquisite risk. You know what exquisite means? It's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary risk to live that way. And it's so fulfilling. That's the flip side of the coin, is when we're able to live that way, man, we are fulfilled. We feel, no matter what the outside world is saying about us, like we are just on track. Like that God within that I'm talking about is actually living me. And I say that here sometimes. It feels as if God is living me. It's not really me at all, but that energy and that power of the divine in me and through me. So today, I'm talking about dancing with chaos. And the name of this lesson was decided long before the storm, by the way. I hope it didn't influence that in some way. But it was meant for, I think, the 16th of September. So it was very close to Hurricane Florence. But I want to read you this to start off our time together talking about, or you hearing about from me, this dancing with chaos. And it's the story of Zorba the Greek. Have anybody heard of Zorba the Greek? I had heard of Zorba the Greek, but I didn't know the story. Do you know the story? I'm like, yeah, I heard Zorba the Greek, but what does that mean? Well, here's a little synopsis. In the wonderful story of Zorba the Greek, a reserved English businessman named Basil sails to Crete on a business venture, and on the voyage he encounters the embodiment of this unlived life in the form of an old Greek named Zorba. Whereas the Englishman lived a controlled, well-planned life, respectable, Zorba is a wanderer, a drinker, a womanizer, a poet, and a dancer. Zorba revels in life. He loves what he terms the full catastrophe of life. Zorba goes to work for Basil and quickly brings chaos into his life. Yet he gradually teaches the nervous Englishman to embrace all of it. The business venture collapses, in no small measure due to Zorba's antics. And the story ends with an iconic scene that takes place on a secluded beach. There, Zorba teaches the Englishman how to dance. And they dance together with abandon amidst the ruins of their disastrous business venture. We don't necessarily have to emulate Zorba's lifestyle, but we can learn from his indomitable spirit of openness, resilience, non-attachment, and love for the full catastrophe of life. Now, we've just experienced, and maybe still are experiencing, the full catastrophe of life, are we not? The hurricane certainly could be said to be that, the full catastrophe of life. Now, we didn't maybe cause it to happen, like Basil and his antics, but we didn't cause the wind to come, the rains to come, the flooding, the destruction, the trees down, the homes destroyed, the extreme nature of the result of the disaster of the full catastrophe of life. But we experienced it, didn't we? We experienced it because the full catastrophe of life is not just physical. We experience that catastrophe of life mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. That's where the big catastrophes happen. The tree falls, the waters rise, but the catastrophe is well beyond that. Now, it didn't matter if you stayed here in Wilmington during the storm, or if you left, you experienced a catastrophe of life. It was tough no matter what, whether you were here for the wind or away from the wind and the water, because that's the truth of chaos. Let me read you what Robert Brummett says about chaos. The response to chaos, which we all had in some form or another during this storm, arises from our intention to maintain the status quo, to retain that which is familiar and apparently safe. This is normal for most of us, but safety and stability is not always possible, and it may not even be desirable. But that's what we feel like in chaos, don't we? And it's really more than this Hurricane Florence that we just experienced. We exist in chaos all the time. Sometimes it's personal chaos, and it is more global. I only have to mention a few words for you to understand that. Let me mention one: politics. Is there not chaos in our political system? Yes, there's chaos. It's unpredictable. It's not the norm. We're not in our normal routine. It's kind of crazy. It's all over the place. I'm sure, and you know, the Catholic Church is in chaos. They're dealing with all that stuff, right? It's not normal. It's not routine. It's unpredictable. It's uncertain. On the world stage, there is so much unpredictability. There is so much chaos all around us all the time. But that's okay. It's just a fact that that's the way it is. But we have a choice about how we engage with it. Listen to this. If we are unwilling to experience chaos, we may be avoiding the opportunity for transformation. I want you to hear that. If we are unwilling to experience the chaos, we may be avoiding the opportunity for transformation. If we are seeking transformation, then we must find a new and more creative way of relating to chaos. We must learn how to dance with it. That's what it's about. We need to learn how to dance with the chaos. See, we don't need to avoid it. We don't need to pretend it isn't there. We don't need to make it okay. You know, there's one thing about chaos that I think sometimes we go toward that is totally not true. Just because chaos happens doesn't mean our intention should be to fix it back the way it was. Let me tell you, if you've been through chaos, you know it'll never go back to that. It's like once things are out of the box, they don't go back in. Even if you get them from Amazon, it's tough. Right? Once it happens, you can't get it back in. You're different. You're different coming out of chaos. So we don't have to put those parentheses around chaos. We just need to learn how to dance with it, how to be with it, how to take a risk, how to be open to it. Remember the meme that Jess put on Facebook a while back that said, here's your comfort zone, and here's where the magic happens. That's kind of like chaos. Here's your comfort zone, here's everything going routine, and here's where the magic happens. So how do we do that? You know, how do we dance with chaos to make some magic happen? That's what we want to do. But how do we do it? That's tough, right? It's good to say, yeah, that sounds good, but how do we actually do it? How can we do it? And what does it mean? And is it possible to do that? And I say yes, because it's all about our perception and our intention about chaos. It's all about our perception and our intention. So think about the chaos in your life. Maybe it's the storm, maybe it's something personal. And think about what words come up when you think about chaos in your life. Shout it out. Fear, evidently. Exhaustion, stress.
Feeling
overwhelming. Worried. Energy. What kind of energy? Chaotic energy, yeah. Chaotic energy. Dread. Anger. Confusion. Blame. Sadness. Helplessness. Out of control. Lost, right? That's the way we think about chaos. Well, no wonder we don't like it. That isn't the way we want to be. What if we could look at chaos, if we could engage in chaos, if we come face to face with the chaos in our life and think, you know what? This is going to present an opportunity for some kind of freedom in my life that I didn't know before this. What if I could do that? What if I came to chaos with that instead of about fear, anger, dread, all that stuff? What if I said, you know what? It's not the end of the world. It's not. Maybe we take the REM way. It's the end of the world as I know it, but I feel fine. Remember that? It's the end of the world as I know it, but I'm okay. Because I'm going to look at it as a possibility for transformation. They had it right, I think. Enough of you remember that song. I'm not too far out back. Inherent in chaos is the potential for a new way of being. Inherent in chaos is the potential for a new way of being. You believe that? So I got a prop for you. I know I talked a lot about luggage here, about letting it go, but the potential for a new way of being, I think, is the way I want to dance. That's the kind of dance I want. So I'm going to show you my potential for the new way of being dance. All right? And it starts off like this. You know West Side Story? That's what the visualization is in my head. The Jets and the Sharks. Like, I'm going for it. Like, that's my start of my dance, right? Yeah. This is chaos? Come on. Bring it on. Bring it on right here. Because I'm here for transformation. What's your dance? You know, what's your dance? I had that visualization. I can't dance like those people do in the movie or on stage, but you know, that's what I visualize. That's the energy I want for transformation in chaos. Come on. Bring it on, right? That's my dance. What's your dance? What do you want? What do you visualize for yourself? I've seen some of you dance in here. I've seen some of you dance. What is that? That freedom, that place that I'm taking it on. Here's another thing, is that when we shift that perception, when we get in that place of dancing, you know, we leave the old ideas of chaos behind. Then we're not afraid of it anymore. We're saying, bring it on. Bring it on, because this is going to transform my life. I want to create a new life. That's my new belief. That's what I want to do. I have it right here. I want to create a new life. That's what I want. When I see chaos of any kind, I want to create a new life around it. I want to make it mine. So, I'm going to put this in my handy-dandy little backpack, and I'm going to put it on, and this is what I want to carry with me all the time, everywhere I go, every person I see, and see how it's hitting me in the back of the head? I want to remember it's there. When I first used this prop, I thought, it's hitting me in the back of the head. I thought, oh, what a great thing. All the time, I'm remembering. Okay. Create a new life. Create a new life all the time. In little chaos, in little things, and in big things. I want to create a new life. That's what I want to do. And notice this backpack. It's really light. It's not one of those heavy ones I've been telling you to put down. Put down your luggage. I've been saying, put it down. You're carrying too much. This is really light. It's not inhibiting me at all. I just need to remember. I just need that hit me in the head. Create a new life. So anytime I encounter chaos, that's what I want it to be. Create a new life. That's what I want. That's the new energy I want. And this is what I mean. Some of you I've talked to before about when you act from an idea. This is what it is. Acting from an idea is that you're carrying it with you. And so you're acting from the energy of create a new life. I'm going to create a new life around this. This is the freedom. This is the opportunity that I'm going to have because this is the chaos in front of me. Yeah? Makes sense? I'm going to keep this on because it's light and easy to carry, and I like it. Here's the other thing about this. And Michael sang about talking to the divine and having a love song to the divine. I want to tell you, when you put this kind of thing on, this create a new life thing, the universe is saying, hell yes. You want a new life? I'm right there with you. I'm in the pack. I'm with you. I'm there right behind you. I'm right there with you. And the energy of that I'm going to come through, and that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. So instead of anger, instead of dread and blame and exhaustion and all that, new life. New life, that's what it's about. So, you got to keep it on. This one you can't take off. You know, if you take it off, I mean, you can set it down if you want. I'm not going to sleep with it tonight. But once I ground that intention in there, it's with me all the time. And the idea is to not wait for a disaster, to not wait for the chaos to put this one on. You start practicing now. And that way, when the chaos presents itself, you already have it with you. You don't have to go find it, dig it out from the bottom drawer behind your socks to put it back on. All right? So I was looking for a story, because I know y'all like stories, and I like stories too, because they really ground these ideas. They're not just ideas out there somewhere. Although if y'all come next week with this, it'll be a good idea. It'll be all right with me. Anyway. So I'm always looking. Here's something I carry in my backpack all the time, is I'm always looking for stories. People go on the internet to read about politics and about everything that's bad and tsunamis over it. I go to find good stories. I want to find who is living the way that I'm talking about. That's what I go to find. And I found one this week on NPR. And I was going to use some of the ideas from Robert Rummett's book to tell you, well, this is actually how you do it. These are the step-by-steps, but this guy did it better. So I'm going to use this story right here. This is the story of Army Major D.J. Skelton. And he was admitted to West Point through a small program for enlisted soldiers. He really wasn't, you know, in his words, smart enough to get in that way, but he got in this way. And listen to this. He had the worst disciplinary record in the history of the academy. And he still managed to graduate and become an officer. And in November of 2004, he was in Iraq. And he got severely hurt. He says bullets and shrapnel blasted his left arm, his right leg, and his chest. And what really should have killed him was a fragment that entered his right cheek, destroyed the roof of his mouth, and exited through his left eye. So this is the condition he was in. And the first time he remembers after getting injured like that, he woke up at Walter Reed Medical Center. And then he says, I had the doctors telling me, well, you're never going to rock climb again, and you're never going to run again, and you're never going to do half the things that you did before this injury. And then the Army says, yeah, you're not fit for duty, you'll never serve. To this guy laying in the bed. Wow. What beliefs to lay on somebody, right? You know what happened? Some of his buddies, some of his rock climbing buddies, came into the hospital, kidnapped him out of the hospital, and took him to the front of a climbing wall. They suited him up. He couldn't get on the wall. They suited him up and put him there to show him what was possible, to show him how they believed in him. And he said, we had a great time. It was a powerful moment in my life, and it was amazing. So those two things. So the first thing I would say he taught us is, don't believe what others say you can or cannot do. Yes. I got an amen. 1. Don't believe what other people say you can or cannot do. Don't believe it. Like I said, you got to be radical. You got to be the one that says, so you say, but not me. And the second thing is, I would say he taught us here, is that it is so important to insert yourself into a community. It's so important to find a community and insert and commit yourself to community, because those are the people that are going to help save you. Those are the people that are going to motivate you, and those are the people who are going to believe in you when nobody else does. That's the importance of community. Wherever that is, insert yourself and commit yourself to community. 2 lessons on the first page. Well, in 2007, he was still on active duty despite all his surgeries and his combat wounds. And he decided to found an organization called Paradox Sports so that other vets he could help other vets deal with their physical challenges. And his work with those wounded troops landed him a job advising the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's where he ended up. So I say the third lesson he's given us is notice where you are and go from there. What can you see needs to be done? He's still in the midst of chaos. He's still in the midst of those injuries. And he also taught us that the best way to overcome that is to give, right? Let me establish this organization. And then let me get noticed, not that he was planning that, by someone and be the advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. In 2011, still dealing with the shrapnel holes in his mouth that let food slip into his airway, he wanted to go back to war. He wanted to serve in combat. He passed all the physical tests and joined his old unit in Afghanistan now, in 2011. It says in this article, it was not a desk job. But he went there, and he did wonderful work with his platoon, and they all came home. But he came home and he said this, it became evident to me that unless I was 100%, I shouldn't be there. And that haunted me every day. So when I come home, I called the Army up and I said, I quit the infantry, this isn't smart. He decided to quit. I would say, don't hesitate, is what he taught us. Don't hesitate to make a course correction. That's part of the dance, by the way. The course correction is part of the dance. He's been doing it throughout, but there's evidence. He decided he wasn't fit. He decided he didn't feel right there, and he made the course correction in the midst of chaos. Well, he's undergone more than 80 surgeries. His palate still isn't fixed. But that hasn't stopped him at all. He was frustrated with receiving care at the VA, and one time he showed up and they canceled his appointment. He drove, hours to get there, and so he was so frustrated. He got to see someone about his eye. His eye socket was empty, and he did on that day when he was unable to see the doctor he was scheduled to see. He found someone to get himself a glass eye. And this was not any beautiful blue, brown, or green glass eye. He wanted an eye with a Jolly Roger on it. Oh. So his eye is black with a white Jolly Roger. He says this, I live this social experiment. I don't hide my injuries. He says, I'm not ashamed of it. I lost my eye in combat. So talk to me. It's a great opportunity for me to tell you about myself and open a dialogue with you so you can learn from me and then I can learn from you. At his retirement, that he probably should have never even made it to given his injuries, he thanked his family and his comrades, and in front of the entire gathering, he wept. He wept wide open. I say number 5 that he has taught us is this. In the midst of chaos, do not hide who you are. Be your authentic self. Open your mind and open some dialogue. What an amazing, courageous man dancing with chaos over and over and over again. One final point I'll make that's so important, especially in a spiritual aspect, is to always remember to get still. Always remember to connect to God as you know God to be. Always remember to get out of the doing for part of your life and into the stillness. Engage in some spiritual practice. Meditate, pray, be still. And I want you to carry one more thing in the backpack as you do, because I think that DJ did this and did this well, and that is believe in me. Believe in yourself is what I'm saying, but in my backpack it's called I believe in me. If you believe in you, and if you have the intention to create a new life, I'd say I want both of those hitting me on the back of the head for quite some time. And I hope you agree. Dance. 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 So let's have some meditation now. I invite you to take a deep breath and to prepare for sitting in the stillness. Yeah, you're welcome to come forward, anyone on a cushion. Sit in the stillness to breathe it in, these ideas. To breathe in, to be with yourself, to believe in me. I believe in me. Maybe say that to yourself. I believe in me. I'm creating a new life in this chaos. And the divine is saying yes to those intentions. So Michael has a mantra today, and the mantra means, may all beings be well. May all beings be well. As we go into meditation.
Sabasate suke antu. Sabasate suke antu. Sabasante sabe santu. Sabe sata suke antu. 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 Sabe sata suke antu.
you can at least let yourself learn to sink to survive. And don't let cold and bitter wind stop your smooth flow. So meeting an exciting adventure ahead, just be the pillar of strength. You shed all of your insecurities and limitations